Hey, KpaK here, guys. So today, as you probably noticed from the title, we will be talking about depression from the scope of Doki Doki Literature Club. So many of you probably already know about Doki Doki Literature Club. For those of you who don't and want to play this game, consider this a spoiler warning because there's going to be huge spoilers, basically. So I'm someone that's had depression most of my life, and well, I've had one of the kinds of depression, and it's something that I know about decently, but for how long I've had depression, I don't know that much about it. And this game, really the point of it was to bring into the public's eye depression and to talk about it as just a normal topic. And honestly, it did a really, really good job. Yes, it used other things as well. Like, it used horror elements, it used elements of other things, but like the main point of the game was to draw people to talk about mental health and mental illness like that. And it really, the way it was made, basically it guises as a visual novel game, Doki Doki Literature Club, and that is to draw in players and make them a bunch of people that normally wouldn't play this sort of game. Like if it was just a game that was like, this game's about depression, no one's going to play that. But the way it was formed, the way it was made, it really, really caught on really quick. And it also played on a bunch of tropes and stuff. So a main thing with this game is it brought out something about depression that is really, really different, and I didn't really think of that much, but with my recent bout, I for sure can attest, is when the game makes you feel powerless, which does happen at a certain point, it does this to make you be able to empathize with the fact that when you're feeling really, really depressed, you feel completely and utterly powerless to change your life. And how the game did this was it took on the guise of a visual novel, which is typically for gamers a really easy kind of game to manipulate and feel like you're in control and you're overpowered and controlling everything in the game and you're deciding everything and you're the big boss. But what this game did, the beauty of it, is it makes you feel like you're all in control and all powerful to a point. And then it hits you with this: your friend is depressed. And after this, it gives you this big decision, and you're like, you feel it at this point. This one character, Sayori, is the depressed character, and her whole life that you've spent with her, she's been your childhood friend and everything like that. And this character, she's always happy and bubbly and doing things, being an extrovert and things like that, trying to make the people around herself happy because she thinks that will make herself happy, is her deal. And it's best described by her poem, which is also described in the game by her poem Bottles that she writes. And basically, at one point in the game, she has to admit to you she suffered from depression like her whole life, and you're one of her best friends, and you didn't know. Like, and that just bombshells your character. And if you don't know what the signs for depression look like, it honestly could bombshell you as a player. And it really would change a lot of things. And that bombshell hits you no matter if you're going for another girl or for Sayori. It doesn't matter. You get hit with this bombshell no matter what. Just like after hanging out with another girl, which you have to do afterwards, you get hit with the bombshell of her coming, and you have to then either say, it comes down to you saying, I love you, or you're always going to be my best friend. And the reactions in the moment are different to it. But when it gets right down to it, the outcome is the same. You walk in the next day, and you find her hanging there, dead. At no moment in a video game in modern day have I ever felt so powerless. Like, powerless to save someone, powerless to help someone that I cared about. Like, I cared about her character. They made her character good enough and relatable enough to that you care about them and you don't want to see them die, and she's gone. You walk into this horrifying, one of the most messed up scenes, the one, like, it will tear your heart out in video gaming of recent years, is walking in on Sayori hanging there. And it's a tough thing. Like, you feel so powerless because you felt like your character goes through, I think it's some of the best dialogue he has in the game, even if it's not like, most of the game, your character you play is just a jackass. He just says like the wrong things all the time. And at this moment, he just feels all, like, they try and humanize him, and they do a really good job. So they go out of the comfort zone of him just being the jackass guy character that's in these visual novels to how a normal person would react when their best friend just killed themselves. And they did a really, really good job. And that just helps to further outline the fact of powerlessness of the player and your character in the game as well. Like, there was nothing you could do to save her. And I can attest that in my recent bout last week with my depression playing up, basically, I felt completely powerless. Like, I was not the same person in that moment at all. I couldn't even organize my thoughts not because there was so little going on, but there was so much going on my head at once. Like, I had a few thoughts about random strategies in video games in there for some reason, and then I had, like, things that Trump is doing over in America for some reason, and then I had a bunch of just random bullcrap interactions with people that I could have done better, and some guilt about interactions with a friend of mine from a long time ago, and then I had a bunch of random other things just in my head constantly. And this was back on Sunday of last week. I forget what that was, the 12th or something, or 11th, and I just felt powerless, and the only thing I could do was talk to the people that I had there and cry. And they couldn't save me. They knew they couldn't save me. I couldn't really make myself calm down or stop thinking those billions of thoughts. I was powerless to do that. The only thing I had power to do was just try to not end it. And that's all I had. The power to do was make that final decision with my incredibly clouded and messed up brain when I'm not thinking my right mind. And I've really dwelt on the first character a lot, but there's two other characters, and in there, second character you hit is Yuri. And Yuri is this quiet character. She's really likable. She likes to read a lot. She likes to be shy. Her backstory is she doesn't really like to talk to that many people because she used to come on really strongly to people and tell them her problems, and they used to just shun her and make fun of her for that. So now she kind of blocks people off and just instead reads her books most of the time as a way to cope, and she doesn't see any benefit from interacting with people because they just make fun of her for her problems. And what her main problem is Yuri is a cutter. And she has, clearly it's stated in the game that she has an anxiety disorder. And again, in the second arc, when Sayori is not in the game anymore, if you choose the Yuri path, you see her slowly go more and more extreme and more insane, and you question, A, is it good for me to even spend time with this person because it feels like I'm making their condition worse, and B, you also are just like absolutely stuck as to, if I stop, what's she gonna do to herself? How far would she take it? She has no one else to talk to really but me. I'm one of her few friends that actually talks to her because of how she is. And what am I supposed to do? And again, you're powerless. What happens to her if you continue down her path is inevitable and nutty. And one of the most disturbing scenes again in the history of gaming that I've played recently. The third character, main character, is Natsuki of the girls, and there is also Monica. So Natsuki, if you do her path in the second playthrough, I haven't done extremely that much with her yet, but her character is what I describe as the self-lover character. So she acts all tough to protect herself and acts like she's so great to protect herself, kind of, but deep down she really just wants people to tell her that she's good at things and that they care about her, because she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that at home, some of the dialogue indicates, and she doesn't have that in her friend group. Her friend group is all kinds of people that are just petty and tear each other down to make themselves feel better, which just makes her condition exacerbated and continue to get worse. So they're kind of like that mean girl crowd, more or less. And the longer she lives in that, with that pain, the worse she's going to get. It could progress to her being suicidal and not having any self-worth, and other things. I don't know because I've not played that route. I'm looking to when I do actual full review of this game. But it's really sad, and again, you're not powerful to control it. It just happens if you play her route. And you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you have to choose either Yuri or Natsuki's route that time. So you have to choose one. And so the final girl is Monica. And Monica is kind of like the meta breaker, understands that it's just a game and stuff. But she also is actually depressed. In the same way kind of as Sayori, just manifesting a different way. She knows that it's just a game, and she knows she's trapped inside. And she views the player, not your character, but you, as her only way out and her only way to feel loved or appreciated. And because of this, she ends up hurting everyone she cares about, and it doesn't actually go into her depression as much, but it is still there. And the whole dialogue of the game is meant to make you focus and think about the fact that these people, they aren't weird. They're just normal people living their lives. And they're depressed. And I think it's an important point for us to focus on and notice that, like, people who are depressed or sad, we're just normal people. We're just like the rest of you. People who are cutters are just normal people. They're just like the rest of us. And people who make others feel bad to make themselves feel better, they're just as messed up as all the rest of us, and they know it. And the main point that you need to know is, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling suicidal, the main thing you need to know is nothing will get better if you don't talk to people about it. The only reason I got through my last bout was I was open with the people that I had there, which were my parents at the time, and I wasn't afraid to cry in front of them, and that was hard for me because I hate doing that, but I had to. And it was the most important and best decision I have made recently, was to cry in front of them and to use them to help myself feel better. And other than that, that's all I really had prepared for this video today. So I just want to say thank you to, firstly, the bigger gaming community for bringing this game up and making it a YouTube phenomenon so that we can talk openly about this. And special thanks from me personally to a guy called Pro Jared on YouTube, who, link will be in the description. He did a playthrough of this game, and he's someone who has gone through depression and stuff, so he really made it feel like someone else, even though I don't know him personally, was empathizing and cared, even though he doesn't actually know me personally. And his playthrough is phenomenal. I'll put a link to his gameplay channel as well as his main channel in the description in case you want to go check it out. It's really good, and in case because you probably don't play, if you don't play video games yourself, you can check it out that way. And just a special thank you to him. He's probably not going to see this, but if it is, thanks a lot. As pathetic as it sounds, your videos actually gave me something to look forward to the next day, to just give me that extra little thing that helps me to not want to end it. And if you want another thing on this topic, my song Walls, I'll also put a link to that in the description, that I released on Monday. So if you want to do that, link will also be down in the description. Other than that, it's Bell Let's Talk month here in Canada. So if you are feeling really bad and you have no one physically there to talk to, you can always call the hotline. And never feel ashamed to share with someone, because it might be the thing that saves your life. Alright, this has been hard to talk about, so I just want to say that I love you all, and stay safe, and if you need to talk to someone, there's always someone out there to listen. Love you all. This is KpaK. Bye.